Hello and welcome back to our tutorial. In this lesson, we're going to continue our journey through the world of hotkeys. In the last two lessons, we saw how to use hotkeys for note input, but hotkeys can be used for a wide range of other Sibelius features as well. Now, I highly recommend that you make a list of all Sibelius hotkeys, at least the hotkeys that will be most useful to you. And when you use Sibelius, keep this list of hotkeys next to you and force yourself to use them. And I really can't overemphasize how beneficial this will be for you in the long run. So, besides notes, the musical objects that you will likely require the most are lines. The hotkey to open up the lines window is the L key. Now, that's all good and well, but what we really need are hotkeys for the most common types of lines. And thankfully there are a couple already available. The lines that you will require the most are slurs, crescendi, and diminuendi. To add a slur, select a passage of music and hit the S key. To add a crescendo, hit the H key. And to add a decrescendo, hit Shift and H together. And now that you have easy access to the three most common lines, you probably won't have to open up the lines window too frequently anymore. What is also really nice about Sibelius's lines is that we can extend them using the spacebar. Simply select one of the ends, hit spacebar, and it will extend to the right. If you hold down Shift and press spacebar, the line will extend to the left. And this doesn't just apply to slurs or hairpins. We can also do this for other lines, such as trills and octave markings. Now, the next most common musical material that you will require will be expressions and techniques. To enter an expression, simply press Ctrl and E. To enter a technique, press Ctrl and T. One thing that you might have already realized, particularly in regards to expressions, is that if you right-click the expression text box while in editing mode, you will see a large selection of available expressions, and that all of the dynamics listed there have the special bold music font that we all associate with dynamic markings. However, if I type my dynamic marking in on the keyboard, it's displayed with a very, normal font. If I wish for my dynamic marking to have that special music font, I have to hold down Ctrl when typing in my dynamics. And this works for the letters F, P, M, N, R, and S. However, sometimes we also need the letter Z, for example for sforzando. But if we press Ctrl Z, that's the shortcut to undo something. So, to get a special music font Z, we need to press Ctrl, Shift, Alt, and Z all at once. The expression text also has another cool little hotkey feature. Because Sibelius knows that we will often need to write cresce or dim, it has given us hotkeys for these too. Crescendo is Ctrl-Shift-C, and diminuendo is Ctrl-Shift-D. There are, of course, ways of customizing all of this, but we're going to be speaking about that in the not-so-distant future. One thing that is also very important when working with text is knowing how to switch to and from editing mode. If you have a text field selected and would like to edit it, simply hit Enter. If you would like to exit editing mode, simply hit Escape. Another very important hotkey for notation is Ctrl-B. This will add an additional bar to the end of your score. Pressing Ctrl-Shift-B will allow you to add a bar anywhere within your score. If you require many new bars or irregular bars, then press Alt and B to bring up the Create Bars window. So we've now discussed the hotkeys that are the most important to notation, but I'm now going to quickly go through a list of other notation hotkeys that you won't use as much, but that can come in handy. To add lyrics to a score, press Ctrl and L. To add a chord symbol, press Ctrl and K. To open the time signature window, press T. To open the key signature window, press K. To open the clefs window, press Q. To open the instruments window, press I. And to open the symbols window, press Z. There's also a somewhat unusual hotkey, the letter R, that will directly copy and paste the passage that you have selected. But you have to be a little bit careful with it. It is possible to accidentally hit R and paste a passage over something else and not be fully aware of it, simply because it can be done at the strike of one key. Believe me, it's happened to me once or twice before. Another unusual but also very powerful hotkey is actually a hot click. If you select a passage and then hold down Alt and click somewhere in the score, Sibelius will copy and paste that passage wherever you click. This can be very useful, but it can be easy to make mistakes. Now, over the last 2 lessons, I've dumped a lot of information on you, and so before you go any further in this series, I would suggest that you spend some time practicing the hotkeys that we've learned. Take, for example, a piece of music that you would like to transcribe, and practice putting it into Sibelius. But begin with something simpler, something that doesn't have too many accidentals or too many complicated rhythms. And after you've practiced for a little while and feel like you've learnt most of the really important hotkeys, then go on to the next lesson, where we'll be talking about using hotkeys to select objects in a score.